Hello and welcome to the Tin Dog Podcast, Disciples of the Blue Box, The Fires of Pompeii, Episode 4.2. I'm going to take it as read that you've actually seen this episode already, and that's why you're listening to this podcast. And all I can really say is, wasn't it great? But before I get into the review of this show, I just wanted to say thank you to Teddy Harrington from San Jose in USA for donating to help with the running of the Tin Dog Podcast. Thanks, Teddy. Before I watched Fires of Pompeii, I was a little bit concerned that it would be covering ground that Doctor Who'd covered before. An obligatory historical story is something that we've come to expect, and given that the guy's got a time machine, it's really not an issue. But this is a story set in Roman Empire, and with the first Doctor, we actually have a story called The Romans. At this point I was going to have a sample of a conversation between Vicky and the First Doctor, where they were discussing why you can't change history, just to put it up against Donna's conversations of the same kind. However, my DVD seems to have gone the way of all flesh, and so I'm going to have to wait until it gets an official release, and then I'll be able to watch it in all of its monochrome glory. However, that does bring me to the points I really need to make about this episode. Donna's evolution as a character has presented us with something we've never truly had in the show, with the possible exception of Adric, but don't hold that against me. The point of a companion, or assistant as they used to be known in the great and glorious, slightly sexist days, was to provide the audience with a questioner for the Doctor. What's going on? How can I help? The standard narrative things. Donna's gone that extra step. Donna is a Doctor Who fan. She's a fan of the Doctor. That's why she wants to travel with him. And in this story, we get to see her ask the questions we've always asked. The sad fanboy questions. Why can't you change history? What happens if you do? Who would remember it differently? Specifically, when it comes to the TARDIS language circuits, what happens with other languages? And the answer, it comes out as Welsh, made this viewer laugh slightly more than he should have. Another reason I was slightly dubious about this story was that the specific historical events have been covered elsewhere in another Doctor Who story. Now admittedly not everyone believes in the existence of Big Finish stories as real Doctor Who, but as far as I'm concerned they are, and the Fires of Vulcan, rather than the Fires of Pompeii, is a story set in Pompeii on exactly the same day at the other end of town, with the Seventh Doctor and Mel. Here's the trailer.
So this is it, the final journey. I had hoped for a while longer, time to prepare.
I wish you'd tell me what's wrong.
Nothing's wrong, Mel. Quite the opposite. Events are proceeding precisely as I expected they should.
And you say this Doctor has changed since you met him?
Oh, Ackley, you don't know the half of it. I was beginning to think he didn't need me anymore. But since we arrived in Pompeii, he's been acting very strangely. I wish he'd tell me what's wrong.
Look over there!
Vesuvius.
Is it not magnificent? Smoke rises from the very mountain. It could only have come from the furnaces of Vulcan himself.
The god of fire and furnaces. Can't we do something?
Against nature? No. Against time? Certainly not. This happened a long time ago, Mel. We can't change it.
No. I'm sorry, Doctor. I can't accept that.
Please listen to me, Mel.
But you might think you know what's going to happen in the future, but all I know is that we aren't beaten yet.
Mel.
I'm going to find a way out of this, whatever it takes. But I can't give up, Doctor. Even if you can.
As you can hear from that, it's not exactly the same. It deals with the same concept of changing history, but more from the Doctor's point of view. In this story, the Doctor is aware that it's his final trip out, and that the TARDIS may come to an end. It's well worth experiencing, and it might even give you a whole new view on Bonnie Langford. Then again, that might not happen. The choice is yours. Back to the story at hand, I fear? Yes, let's. The setting, of course it was marvellously well done. I have no issues with that at all. I don't even have issues with the mini baby Balrog, or Pyrovile. Although saying Balrog is a little bit terse, the character itself seemed a lot more, well, treant-like in its movement. Either way, the lava-based aliens get my vote as one of the nicest pieces of work the mill's done in some time. Of course, if you were to visit any of the Doctor Who forums this week, the one bit that would be worth conversation is this.
Doctor, that's your name.
How did you know that?
And you call yourself noble.
Now then, Evelina, don't be rude.
No, not at all.
You both come from so far away.
The female soothsayer is inclined to invent all sorts of vagaries.
Oh, not this time, Lucius. No, I reckon you've been out soothsayed.
Is that so? Man from Gallifrey.
What?
Strangest of images. Your home is lost in fire, is it not?
Doctor, what are they doing?
And you, daughter of London.
How does he know that?
This is the gift of Pompeii. Every single oracle tells the truth.
That's impossible.
Doctor, she is returning.
Who's she?
And you, daughter of London, there is something on your back.
What's happening?
Even the word doctor is false. Your real name is hidden. It burns in the stars, in the cascade of Medusa herself. You are a lord, sir. A lord of time.
This raises huge questions. The sort of questions that we all like talking about this early on in the season. The one I'd like to talk about, obviously, is Donna has something on her back. Now, for the classic Doctor Who fans amongst us, some of us immediately go, oh, that would be the giant spiders, a monster met by John Pertwee's Doctor towards the end, or indeed at the very end of his incarnation. And that, of course, links with Arachnos. This is all speculation. She could have something on her back, a bit like a Carlite mutant, which of course brings you to something very similar to Babylon 5, where Londo had something wrapped round his neck controlling him. Donna doesn't seem to be controlled, so the chances are she's merely being slightly manipulated or indeed just monitored. The other line about she returning, I'm just going to take it as meaning Rose, because if anyone else says it's the Rani, I may be forced to come round your house and give you a good talking to. The Rani was not a great villain, and I for one don't really think she should come back. That's just me. The business about the Doctor's not having his real name, well, that's fairly standard stuff. And the thing about the Medusa Cascade, well, again, that was mentioned by the Master. I suspect that's probably just where one of the battles from the Time War took place, possibly the final one. I would say it's a constellation, a little like Kasterborous was where Gallifrey was. But as always, this is just speculation at this point. Another thing in the exciting world of speculation, of course, is where did the Pyrovile's planet go? It's lost. I'm going to do this little rabbit ear things that you do when you say lost, which is very similar to, of course, the breeding planet from last week. Is this one of the major themes of the season? I suspect it will be. It could all be sewn up quite logically. Planets are disappearing from our universe and going into the other universe, Rose's one. The two universes are colliding, which of course would allow the Cybermen to come through into ours, and a host of other things. Last week's podcast I also mentioned Atmos, as mentioned in the BBC commentaries. Oh, enough about those in a moment. And thanks to Doctor Who magazine, we now know that the Atmos company has something to do with the Sontaran story coming up in a couple of weeks, and that I am looking forward to. Before I talk about the BBC commentaries, here's a word from a fellow podcast.
welcome to this Staggering Stories podcast trailer. I'm Tony.
I'm Adam.
I'm Fake Keith.
And I'm Andy.
You are? What exactly are you Andy in? It's a bad joke. Now, you can expect more of those bad jokes. You can expect, well, reviews, probing in-depth stuff. What do you reckon?
Don't know.
No, we waffle.
Yes, quite a bit.
Yep, we do discuss Doctor Who, don't we?
Nothing but
Sometimes.
Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
It seems.
Look, it's our gateway drug. Yes, our gateway program, if you like.
Okay.
But we discuss other stuff, mastery multiplayer, online games, other science fiction, hard SFF with Crumbly's book report.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and
homework.
We have
Our
guests.
roving reporter.
We have a raving reporter.
We do.
Yes, the real Keith.
Aye.
Who every podcast will go somewhere and report to us.
Badly.
Very badly indeed.
Yes.
Abusively.
Yes, and abusively.
Frequently.
And, well, quite frankly, it's completely unstructured, it's completely freeform almost, and...
It's rambling.
Yeah, basically.
Ramble-tastic.
But I think you'll enjoy it.
Ramble-tastic.
Ramble... What?
Yeah.
Cats.
Could have been.
Well, there you go. That's just the level of the humour that you can expect. And it's available from iTunes and Podcast Alley and all the usual sort of things, RSS feeds, and also, of course, from the website, www.staggeringstories.net.
I wanted to roleplay Doc Cotton.
Where was I? Ah, yes, the BBC commentaries. There was a very nice thing where the BBC would allow us to listen to the cast and crew talk about the show, download them onto our iPods and listen to them at work or on the bus. It's similar to the way that you're listening to this right now, while you're watching the episode. But at Christmas the BBC trust rules changed, meaning that they could only have podcasts about something that had been on the radio. And so the commentaries were released on BBC 7, the digital radio network, and then we'd be able to upload them. The first commentary was about 50 minutes long, the same length as the programme, obviously, which you could download and keep. But the issue seems to be that the programmes on BBC 7 are only half an hour long, which means that that has to be the length of the episode that becomes the podcast. Well, it's pointless releasing a commentary that's 20 minutes shorter than the actual programme. Come on, BBC. If you have to stick to the rules, make the BBC 7 broadcast the exact length of the show. That would leave you 10 minutes slot to fill, and you could fill that with something like slip-back episodes or just be creative. Come on, BBC, you know what you're doing. It's what we want, it's what you want. We'll all be happy if you do it. I'll leave you now with the trailer for next week's episode, Planet of the Ood. Be seeing you.
Dr. Noble, Mrs. Noble, if you'd like to come with me.
Oh, no, we're not married.
We're so not married.
No.
Never, ever. Here at Ood Operations, we like to think of the Ood as our trusted friend.
I found your unwanted guests.
Because at heart, what is an Ood? I'm on your side! But a reflection of us.
It's a revolution.
If your Ood is happy,
The circle must be broken.
What is the circle?
then you will be happy too.
Doctor's on the front! Doctor's on the front! Let's be broken!
You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.